So one of my first tech videos on my channel was buying 3 different GoPro gimbals, comparing the stabilization on all of them and talking about what I thought the best GoPro gimbal was. Now at that time, they didn't have very good microphones, they had mediocre stabilization, and most cell phones had 1 camera, maybe 2 cameras. Some had optical image stabilization, most didn't even have digital image stabilization, and now I have this. I have a cell phone with an ultra wide camera that shoots 4K 30, which is identical to that of the Fimi Palm. One of the big differences is that this has EIS. The Fimi Palm is a 3-axis stabilized camera, but the microphone on my cell phone is better. And today we're going to examine whether or not the Fimi Palm or even the DJI Osmo Pocket is worth getting in 2020. Now, my experience with stabilized cameras and camera stabilization is actually quite extensive, and I will link a playlist that I'll make up here to all of the videos I've done throughout the years talking about different stabilization options. But I've owned a Zhiyun Crane 2 for a full-size DSLR. I've owned the DJI Osmo Zoom, the DJI Osmo Zoom, which was DJI's one of their first stabilized handheld cameras. I'm shooting right now on the DJI Osmo Pocket. My friend has the Fimi Palm, and I had 3 or 4 different stabilizers for GoPros, which kind of leads me to talking about whether or not a product like the DJI Osmo Pocket or the Fimi Palm is worth buying in 2020. Now, the Fimi Palm is a really interesting device because it doesn't exactly go head to head with the DJI Osmo Pocket because the field of view is so much wider. The DJI Osmo Pocket is an acceptable B camera, stabilized camera because of the field of view that it has, and it doesn't have the warpy, GoPro-y look. It also has decent microphones, as you guys can hear right now, and those microphones do a good job at competing with something like this, which is the Hero 8 Black Edition with the new Hypersmooth technology. And honestly, if we look at the stabilization, obviously the stabilization of this isn't going to be as good as an actual 3-axis gimbal. The difference is that the DJI Osmo Pocket is going to be significantly more fragile. I would have no fear mounting this on myself and going snowboarding, putting it on a motorcycle, and I know that the stabilization would be good enough to be creative and get the shots I want. But do I really want to hazard putting a physically stabilized 3-axis gimbal somewhere? I don't know. The other aspect of this that we really need to consider is that with modern cell phones, an iPhone XS Max or an iPhone X, 11 Pro, whatever the top line iPhone is, with the ultra wide camera is going to have pretty comparable performance to this GoPro, on top of having better microphones. And microphones are important. See, if all I care about is vlogging, I think I'm going to be better off using a phone with a little gimbal and whatever the stabilization is on the phone. I'm going to have more cameras and I'm going to have better audio. And if I want an action camera, well then I want something that I'm not worried about breaking. And the Fimi Palm is something you're going to have to worry about breaking. What I think the better question is, when talking about devices like the Fimi Palm or the DJI Osmo Pocket, is that $200, let's say, on the low end for a Fimi Palm, going to be better than adding $200 to whatever budget you have for a smartphone and then some accessories for that smartphone? Because as we heard in that test and in the other video, and I'll link to that up here, the Fimi Palm has terrible audio. So you're going to be forced to use an external microphone. If you're going to be using an external microphone, you're not going to be getting that much of an action camera from it, because now you have an external microphone hanging out of the USB port. You have areas of fragility that could break on it. So is it a better option than your phone? At least in my opinion, I think it's about what you're trying to do with it, because I don't see the Fimi Palm as being that convenient of a vlogging setup for the reasons I just mentioned, being audio and like fragility. I don't see it being an action camera replacement because, again, easy to break. And it's definitely not a vlogging setup because unless you want to deal with external microphones and syncing audio. To buy a Fimi Palm, or even to buy this device, you're having to make a lot of sacrifices, and you're having to find a very specific niche that you would need to have filled. Being, you want to have a stabilized action camera and not care about audio, and also be using it in a way that you're not worried about breaking it. And then is that more useful than a higher quality cell phone that has optical image stabilization or multiple cameras? Because just for an example, the Poco F2 Pro, this device costs around $450. The Fimi Palm costs approximately $200. If I were to take the cost of the phone, $450, the cost of the Fimi Palm, $200, that's $650. For that price, you're looking at iPhone territory. You're looking at a Xiaomi Mi 10, which is gonna have awesome image stabilization. It's gonna have arguably the same or better cameras and better audio quality. You're gonna have options from Realme, you're gonna have options from OnePlus, and all of these devices are going to be less stable with more cameras and better audio quality, and arguably maybe more durable than something like this. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you have a specific need for the Fimi Palm? What is your use case for it? I'm really curious to have a discussion about this with you guys, because my friend that bought it, he bought it as like a replacement vlogging camera, but now he's trying to deal with microphone issues. I don't know. Okay, till next time, peace.